Boom. Cam, we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Fat Katz Podcast, episode 48. We got an action-packed podcast, and as you know, the boys are bringing the heat. But anyway, before we get into anything, for all of our YouTube listeners, I want y'all to take a look at the big man right now. We were just discussing this before this podcast, but if you are a female in the Charlotte area and you're going on a date, Cam Taylor is the guy to check that guy out right there, man. You're looking slim today, Cam. I love it, brother.
Yeah, I'm about 2 days in on changing to salads, so we'll see how long it lasts. You know me and the diets, how they
Hey,
go.
don't if Cam's eating salads, don't piss that guy off because I know he has a short temper right now.
Cutting
But
out
Cam, you're
pot.
looking good, brother.
Appreciate it, man. I'm trying to get like you. That's what I told you before I got on here. But how's the ankle feeling? Where I know last time we were in it, not wasn't great. Are we back on the road to recovery here?
So the ankle is I'm not playing in my football game tonight, which I'm pissed about. So last week we lost, by the way. We got beat 35-14. Got killed. But this week, we're feeling a little better. Where I was moving around today. I tried to go do legs at the gym today. I was on the Smith machine, Cam, and I had tens on each side, and I was just doing little sets of 8, man, with those squats. But hey, you get the road to recovery. You got to start somewhere. But no, it's doing better. I'm not wearing my boots, so I appreciate you asking.
What's Justin Alford doing if we're getting blown out like that?
Dude, Justin is on the IR as well. Justin
Oh
messed up his
God.
leg in week 1. Him and Seth, that's a lot of man right there between both of them. They're about 500 pounds combined. So they ran into each other full force, and Justin's leg was about as darker than your sweatshirt. His whole leg too, and he's been struggling as well. So he has been out the last 2 weeks too.
And that'll tell you if you guys haven't seen Justin, he looks like Saquon Barkley.
That's a lot of man right there.
That's a lot. Him and Seth, between him and Seth, man, that's some two big old boys going at it. So, hey, prayers up to the greater Raleigh area and the flag football team, man.
No doubt, man.
Get better, but we got an action-packed show. Where we were talking before here, and this has the potential to be one of our greatest podcasts of all time.
It does.
Before we get into it, I do want to remind everybody, find us on Spotify, find us on YouTube, find us on Apple Podcasts. Just type in the Fat Katz Podcast. It's KATZ. Find us on Instagram and TikTok at Fat Katz Pod. Leave us a like, leave us a comment, subscribe. Everything helps with that. Ward, anything interesting going on this weekend besides the pack? We'll get into the pack, but anything else going on this weekend?
You talk about this past weekend or this upcoming weekend?
Either or, if you got any interest.
I'll go ahead and get into this past weekend. Obviously, as you know, Cam, I went to a really cool thing. I went to an NC State bar on Thursday, and I got to watch the state game. It's always cool going into an environment like that where everybody is pulling for the same team. And, they have the game on the loudspeaker, and anytime we even score a layup, the place just explodes. That was pretty cool. And then I also went to a March Madness party on Saturday, got to watch the games there. That was pretty cool as well. But no, man, I haven't watched this much basketball in a long time. And, it's the time of the year for it, Cam. So they call it March Madness for a reason, my friend.
Yeah, man. I don't think I've watched this much basketball in my life. Like, I usually watch a ton of basketball, but with the addition of sports betting to our state, man, it gives me a reason to watch every game.
Yeah, dude. And based off that, too, I know you've done well. But, dude, your boys, I'm not going to jinx anything, but I'm like 7 for 8 right now on my bets, or like 6 for 8 on my bets. You usually only place $10 bets, but that buys your lunch. That buys your lunch during the week. That you want to take your old lady out to eat dinner.
Yep.
Pays for dinner. I know you're doing a lot better than me, but.
Well, I know your brother's doing a lot better than all of us. By the screenshots I get, at least.
Yeah.
Shout out to Stone.
And any of our listeners too, we do have a little bit of a insider betting group chat. I'm probably the least contributor to this group chat, but if anybody wants to join, man, we're not going to charge you an initiation fee. But if you do lose, if you tell us to place a bet, we place the bet, and we lose, you got to pay us 10% back. So. Yeah, that's the only initiation. But if anybody wants to join, come join the big dogs.
Yeah, we can start a whole Fat Katz betting thing if you guys want to.
FKB segment of the week.
That would be fun, actually. But yeah, Ward, I pulled all my winnings out since we have a nice little gap here for March until next weekend, thinking about booking a vacation for this summer. If that tells you how
Where are you
well
thinking? Where are you thinking about going?
I
Somewhere
don't know,
tropical
man.
or somewhere west?
We're going to the beach for sure, I think.
Okay. And
I mean,
from so Charlotte's right here. You going east to North Carolina? You going south to Florida? You going to South Carolina? Where you thinking?
I haven't picked yet. Probably the most affordable place on my budget, which probably means North Carolina or South Carolina. But
Probably Myrtle Beach. Cam's gonna be in partying it up at Myrtle Beach.
yeah, I want to be sitting on a bench on the main strip, just watching people, man. Yeah, but hopefully taking a vacation here soon. I need it. But Ward, we start off every show with a segment called First Favorite and Forgotten. If you're new, the episode goes with the jersey number. So with today being episode 48, it'll be your first player that comes to your mind that wore number 48, your favorite player to wear 48, and somebody who you think is forgotten or maybe doesn't get enough respect who wore number 48. Ward, go ahead and take us off, big dog.
So first player that comes to mind with the number 48, Cam, is, and we're not a baseball podcast. We cover the big topics. We're not a baseball podcast. There's a guy by the name of Torrey Hunter. I'm not sure if any of our baseball fans have heard of him. He played for the Los Angeles Angels, or the Anaheim Angels at that point. Now they're the LA. I think they're the LA Angels. I don't know what they're called now. But my brother is a huge Angels fan. Me and my brother used to have wars at MLB The Show back in the day. And this guy, Torrey Hunter, used to rip me every game in MLB The Show. So Torrey Hunter, unfortunately, is the first guy I thought about.
Awesome. There used to be a game, I think it was called The Bigs, maybe. It was kind of like a cartoony MLB game, but he was incredible in that game. I do remember that. My first guy that comes to my mind is Bud Depree. Him and Benny Snell and Dermontti Dawson. I think the only three guys that come to my mind that both went to Kentucky and played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dermontti definitely with a better career than the two before him, but Bud Depree. You can kind of attribute the turnaround of the Kentucky football program to him. Gave 4 years to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now he kind of bounces around. But I have a Bud Depree jersey upstairs, by the way.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Probably should have put it on. I didn't even think about it till now. But yeah, Bud Depree, the first guy that came to my mind to wear number 48.
That's awesome. When you mention players that played for the Steelers and the Wildcats, first thing that came to mind for me was Russell Wilson. I know Russell Wilson, it showed when State played in Pittsburgh, which, Cam, we're going to get into this, but we could have met this guy on Saturday. He was at the game wearing all his Steelers stuff. I thought that was really cool. But moving past that, Cam, sorry, I got sidetracked. Favorite 48, and we already know when we talked about the absolute GOAT in sports, this was probably, like episode 5, episode 6. Jimmy Johnson was on my list as the greatest NASCAR driver of all time. If you know, Jimmy Johnson had that Lowe's 48 car. Favorite one, probably the first one that came to mind too, Cam. Jimmy Johnson, number 48.
I love it. We're not a baseball podcast, but baseball player number 2 of 3. Yeah. Pablo Sandoval was my favorite. And was I a Giants fan growing up? No. But I used to watch this guy, and there's very few professional athletes, Ward, where a kid of my stature looks at, besides offensive lineman and defensive lineman, and goes, I could be like that guy one day. And Pablo Sandoval was one of those guys.
Dude, there's 2 guys in baseball that is a lot of man. Pablo Sandoval is one, and Prince Fielder is the other. Pablo Sandoval, if you're pitching to him, all he has to do is touch it and it's going. So that's a lot of man right there, Cam. Love that. I love the shout out. Great favorite. My forgotten this week, Cam, and I threw the Seahawks on here because if anybody didn't know, a lot of people probably forgot this. Seahawks won Super Bowl 48, Cam. So Super Bowl 48, Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson, former NC State football player. Now he is a Pittsburgh Steeler. Led his team to beat Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 48. Thought that was really cool. So, Cam, I bet a lot of people forgot about that.
I love how creative we're getting with this segment, by the way, especially with these kind of weirder numbers.
You're the one that started it, man. Whenever you did that draft pick, draft pick number, whatever, that's when I was like, all right, I'm going to really start getting creative with it now.
So I love it, man. I think the more creative we get, the better. Speaking of creativity, man, my forgotten, and I would be surprised if anybody besides my dad, Steven, Novak, and maybe Billy remember Nazi Muhammad. Where he played for the Kentucky Wildcats. He won a national championship with the Kentucky Wildcats. He wore number 48 for the Bulls from 2013 to 2015. Talking about a guy that played from 1998 to 2016 in the NBA for 8 different teams. Nazi Muhammad, man, forgotten number 48. I don't think there's a better name to round it out here than Nazi Muhammad. So
Seems like Mr. Nazi made a lot of money. So played in the NBA for a long time, and yeah, man, won a lot of different teams. So that's awesome. Well, Cam, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, moving on, we give out weekly game balls, 2 apiece again. Well, I guess you got 4 technically, but we got weekly game balls. So it's just the people that, had the best week in sports in our opinion. So Ward, go ahead and kick us off with your weekly game balls, man.
I'll kick us off, Cam. I'm not giving this to the ACC. I'm giving this to the Carolinas. Especially we'll include South Carolina in there. But, what do people call the Hoop State? They call North Carolina the Hoop State. In Raleigh, so where I sit in Garner, North Carolina right now, within 15 miles in directions of me, there's 3 teams in the Sweet 16, which is awesome. Let's not forget about our little brother, the state of South Carolina. I think everybody that listens to this podcast will agree that the state of South Carolina is North Carolina's little brother. But we'll throw Clemson in there too, man. Clemson's in the Sweet 16 as well. So the Carolinas have 4 teams. The Carolinas make up 25% of the Sweet 16, which I thought was kind of cool. So throwing that in there, Cam. That's my game ball.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, the ACC taking credit for the Carolinas. Like, come on, let's get real.
Hey, and do you agree with that? Do you think South Carolina is North Carolina's little brother?
I think
state,
so.
Not a university, just the state.
Yeah, I think North Carolina is a far superior state.
Thank you. Me too.
I don't even think it's relatively close.
No.
But I've got 2 weekly game balls real quick. First one going out to Jalen Green. Ever since it became public knowledge that Jalen Green got his 48-year-old girlfriend pregnant, he is averaging 30 points per game. So a guy who was long looked at as a bust, probably coming out of his show a little bit here for the Houston Rockets. And my second one is going to a guy named Tyon Grant Foster. If you've been locked into March Madness, I'm sure you've heard this guy's story. He plays for Grand Canyon Ward. In 2019, he was the best JUCO guard in the nation. In 2020, he went to Kansas and ended up transferring to DePaul. But between 2021 and 2022, he collapsed on a basketball court while playing 2 separate times due to heart complications.
Wow.
60 months later, before this year, he was cleared to play basketball again at Grand Canyon. He won Conference Player of the Year, and in 2 games in the NCAA tournament, he averaged 25.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, and 2.5 steals. So,
wow.
Colin Grant, man, what a story and what a performance in the NCAA tournament.
Hats off to you, Tyrone. That's awesome. I didn't know that whole story, so that's really cool.
Yep. Very cool. Ward, we're going to do what I like to call an old-fashioned poop sandwich. So we're going to do a piece of good news, a piece of bad news, and then follow it back up with another piece of good news. So, good news, I'm going to give you the floor. Let's talk about NC State's first weekend in the NCAA tournament, man.
Are you sure you want me to go first, Cam?
Yeah, I'd love for you to go first, actually.
I got a segment real quick. Real quick, man. The boys are dancing, Cam. The Wolfpack are dancing. I got a messed up ankle. I was gonna go and do a gritty around my office, but I don't want to mess my ankle. I've got to play flag football next week. But no, the boys are dancing. We are in the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2015. Cam, pretty cool for the Wolfpack. A football school dancing in basketball. We'll say, Texas Tech. I think those were 2 teams that we should have beat. We should have beat Texas Tech. We were a 6-point favorite or 6-point underdog. I hope everybody hit their sports book for that. And then we tried everything in the world to blow it against Oakland. And by the way, any of our listeners listening, Oakland is not in California. Oakland is in Michigan. So just for everybody that didn't know that, I didn't know that until tip-off. But the boys are dancing, Cam. We have a tough matchup in Marquette, which I'm going to tell you why in a minute that I would rather play Marquette than Colorado, the team that they played in the around the 32. But the boys are dancing, Cam. More importantly, I do want to say screw Kentucky for messing up the Fat Katz Bowl because I was so excited for that. Russell Wilson was there. We could have got a picture with the GOAT. But Cam, floor is yours.
Yeah, man. This is gonna be lengthy, man. I've got a lot to say. I've tried to reserve myself this season, even though there was times where I saw it going in this direction. If you didn't know, Kentucky, 3-seeded Kentucky Wildcats lost to the 14-seeded Oakland Golden Grizzlies in the round of 64, the first round of the NCAA tournament award. First of all, to Jack Golke, who had an incredible game, 30 points, 32 points, 10 of 20 shooting from three. Funny story about Golke before I get into this long monologue. Ward, he beat Kentucky, obviously. Also knocked out Tyler Hero of the state tournament his senior year in
Interesting.
Wisconsin.
Okay.
So first of all, get a job. Like, why are you playing basketball still? But yeah, people are calling him the Wildcat Killer.
He's also an
But
IT major too. I'm not sure if you saw that.
I did.
What a nerd.
Yeah. And one more thing on Oakland. Louisville fans bought $8,000 worth of Oakland gear after they beat Kentucky.
Wow.
Crashed the school website, by the way, Ward. So this raises the question: did Oakland make more money from Louisville fans than the University of Louisville did this season?
Probably.
But
I like that, Cam.
as we get into the meat of this, man, I'm going to read an excerpt real quick from John Calipari's book, Players First, just to kind of show you where this program is at. In this part of the book, he's talking about how he took over the Kentucky program in 2009, 2010. He says, and I quote, "The team had won a total of just 2 NCAA tournament games in the previous 4 seasons. And over the last 2 seasons, it had lost 27 games. That's not supposed to happen in Lexington, Kentucky. There was nowhere to go but up." Ward, we have lost to a 15 seed and a 14 seed in the first round of the tournament in the past 3 years. We only have one SEC tournament win in the past 3 years. Haven't been to a Sweet 16, Ward, since 2019, pre-pandemic. The standard has not been met on or off the court at the University of Kentucky. I've been told my whole life that Kentucky basketball was the greatest tradition in the sport, that it was the gold standard. Coined by John Calipari, not anybody else. John Calipari said that when he took the job. I was told all year, Ward, just be patient. This team is built for March. Over and over, this team is built for March. In March, Ward, the Kentucky Wildcats went 0-1 in the SEC tournament and 0-1 in the NCAA tournament, with a grand total of 0-2 in March. Where
I don't know, man.
Where are we going? I mean, this is, again, supposed to be the greatest tradition in college basketball. And if you take the last 4 years, this isn't a top 25 program in college basketball. John Calipari, great coach. His teams are a lot of my childhood, childhood memories. But there's a standard that needs to be met at Kentucky, and it's not been met. This, on top of not only the on-court, blunders, but we've had multiple instances where guys on the team haven't been let known of NIL opportunities. Antonio Reeves, at the beginning of the season, was contacted about $100,000 NIL deal, and the assistant coaches didn't let him know.
Wow.
Which caused a huge issue in the locker room during the season. There's a guy on the roster right now, Ward. I don't know if you've heard of him. His name's Reed Shepard. Just the best player to ever come out of Kentucky, possibly. Has $1 million offer on the table, NIL, and the coaching staff hasn't texted back the donor yet.
Wow.
So, I mean, and the bigger problem is Cal is surrounding himself with yes men that don't really care about the Kentucky basketball program. He's berated fans in interviews, telling us we care too much to let him coach, that we're basketball bennies. So at this point, to me, there's only 2 paths. You give him one last ride, or he's got to hit the highway, man. Because
So how long? So you think one last ride? You think this year's his last ride?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this was supposed to be the one last ride year. Like, he's got DJ Wagner, he's got Reed Shepard, he's got all these guys. This is a vintage Cal team. He's led by freshmen, the best freshmen. Like, he had 5 top 25 guys. He had 3 top 10 guys,
Mm-hmm.
and he got beat in the first round. So
Yeah, because I was just looking it up, and the AD, that Kentucky AD, which I know personally, by the way, Cam knows that. That's a story for another day. But the Kentucky AD and Calipari are meeting on Thursday to discuss how they can improve Kentucky's men's college basketball team.
Well, can we talk about the dysfunction in the athletic department overall? Ward, Calipari did a radio show yesterday, his year-end radio show before he'd met with the AD. Like, what are we doing? Let's call a spade here. John Calipari's lucky to have a job right now.
Yep.
The buyout is on the table. The donors have raised the monies to buy him out.
Mm-hmm.
The donors don't want him there.
So the donors have, well, the money's there, then Cam. But the thing is this comes back to the question too that you always bring up. Me and you have had this conversation so many times. Everybody's, let's fire him. We're so quick to fire him. Who are you going to bring in?
I agree with
who better than Calipari can come in? Like, obviously, new blood in the program is going to be exciting. It's going to give people to talk about. But who better than Calipari? Calipari is a one-time or two-time. Didn't he win a national championship at Memphis?
No, he just won one.
Okay, so he's a one-time national champion. That was just crazy. He only has one national championship. But, yeah, that's crazy to think about. But there's just I wonder who they would bring in to replace him. That's on the coaching block right now. Obviously, Kentucky's a huge job.
I've went back and forth over the past few days of, when that game ended, I made it known I didn't think he should leave the arena with a job.
Yeah.
I've kind of backtracked the past couple of days off of that, but dude, any coach in the world can lose to a 15 seed, a 14 seed, and get bounced in the second round of the tournament at Kentucky. Like, that's not hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get back to winning basketball games. That's all that matters. I don't know who would take the job. Yeah, I don't know who would take the job, but anybody could do the job that's been done the past 3 years. That's what I'll say.
I like it.
But Ward, that's enough about Kentucky. That's enough about looking in the past. We're looking in the future. As 2 NC State Wolfpack fans talking right now on this podcast, we've got Marquette on Friday. And then say we beat Marquette, we've got a potential matchup in the Elite Eight against Duke or Houston. Ward, I'm going to let Mingo out because he's driving me nuts. I want you to talk about the NC State Wolfpack's upcoming weekend, and then I'll get back on.
No, you're good, man. Tell Mingo I said what's up. And very interesting thing here. So as I mentioned earlier in the show, I was going to discuss on why I would rather play Marquette than Colorado. So obviously, as you know, Colorado, Marquette, if anybody watched the round of 32, Colorado and Marquette played on Sunday afternoon. It was a noon game, and they were tied with 2 minutes left in the game. And Cam, watching Colorado, NC State, the reason why I say this, long story short, State plays a lot better against guard-heavy teams. Colorado has 2 of the best big men in college basketball right now. We do not play well against big men teams, obviously. So Colorado is a big man team with 1 very good guard. Marquette has 2 to 3 very good guards, which is good for us because we are going to be able, our guys, both Mohamed Diarra and DJ Burns are obviously playing great down low right now. Same with Armstrong as well. Or not Armstrong, but Brent, I can't remember his last name. Our backup center. Our big men are playing well right now. So going into that, I would rather play Marquette. I believe Marquette right now is a 5.5-point favorite. But Cam, this Wolfpack team has won 7 in a row. I mean, kind of hard to, or 8 in a row, kind of hard to, 7 in a row. Kind of hard to bet against them right now, Cam. So I am betting for the Wolfpack. I do think we're going to continue the tradition and move on to the Elite Eight and play the winner of Duke or Houston.
Yeah, man, I love it. I think this is a better matchup for the Pack as well. I don't think Marquette has a guy that can work with DJ Burns. The Lumpkin kid from Colorado, I don't know if he would have given him problems, but he would have been a better matchup for sure. I don't think Marquette has physical guards that like to guard. Obviously, they have Tyler Kolek, who's one of the best guards in the country. But the other guys, I don't know if their role players are playing at a higher level than NC State.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Burns and Horn are collectively better than Kolek. So I like NC State in this matchup. This is also a guy that's talking to you with a 110-1 ticket on the NC State Wolfpack to win a national championship. So
Fact, baby.
I'm a little bit excited about it.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward. Like, is there a better story to be written than NC State Duke in the Elite Eight in Dallas?
That's what I was curious. Who I don't know who I would rather play between. We've already beat Duke, so obviously, we know Duke, but at the same time, Duke knows us. Duke knows how to play NC State's brand of basketball. I know nothing about Houston. Obviously, they're a 1 seed for a reason. I think let's jump into that game next, Cam. I would rather play Duke than Houston since we just beat Duke 3 weeks ago. But jumping into that game, Cam, when you talk about madness, Cam, this is madness. This is what March Madness is about. You're obviously playing a blue blood Duke. Houston is a young and hungry number 1 seed who has been there. They've been to the Sweet 16 out of the past 5 years, which is kind of interesting to think about, Cam. This team doesn't get upset. So Houston, Duke, I'm riding with the ACC. I think Duke comes in, makes a statement, and shows why the ACC is more superior than the Houston plays in the Big 12 in basketball, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Why the ACC is more superior than the Big 12.
Yeah, I like this matchup a lot. It's a clash of styles. Houston being a more physical basketball team. They run 4 guards, but if you look at them, they all look like football players.
Yeah.
They had an awesome game against A&M. If you didn't get to watch that, by the way.
Yes. And how about A&M down 10 or down 11 with a minute left, hits a 3 to tie the game as time expires. Awesome to see, Cam.
Yeah, that was an awesome basketball game. Houston, man, this is a tough matchup for Duke, and the only reason I say that is I don't know if there's a team left in the Sweet 16 that is more soft than Duke.
Yeah.
When you watch them play, they've got a lot of guys that can spot up shoot. Filipowski's playing the 5, which is out of position for him. He's more of a 4. Mark Mitchell's playing the 4, which he's more of a 3. So they're playing bigger. Like, they have to play bigger than they are. They don't have a rim protector, and I don't know if they have a guy on the roster that can guard these Houston guards off the bounce. I think this is a nightmare matchup for Duke. Now, if Jared McCain comes out like he did last game and goes 7 for 7 from 3 to start off the game, I think we've got a basketball game on our hands. But I could see this getting out of hand for Duke more so than I could see it getting out of hand for Houston. I think we get a national championship matchup.
1983 national championship matchup, Cam. I like
rematch. So I think Houston wins. I like the Duke matchup better for you guys, but I think Houston wins in the
I think so too. I think Houston is a 1 seed for a reason. I do think Duke wins, but Houston's a 1 seed for a reason. And in my snake draft, I had Houston winning the national championship. So obviously, Cam, it would help out my case a little bit. And Duke, one thing too. I don't know if you saw this. They have one player that paints his nails now. You know how the half of the Fat Cats feels about that. So I guess I would expect a Carolina player to do it, but not a Duke player. But anyway, Cam, moving forward, another ACC team, another Carolina team, Clemson, Arizona. Give me your thoughts. Why?
Yeah, I think Arizona mops the floor with Clemson. I don't think Clemson's a very good basketball team. I honestly don't know how they got to the Sweet 16. I don't think this is even close, or I think this is one of those games you watch till halftime and you just kind of try to find something else to watch.
Yeah. I wouldn't say mop the floor, but I do think Arizona moves forward against Clemson. Unfortunately, I do think this is where our one ACC team falls off. Talking about Arizona, Cam, I feel like the AC or the NCAA has a script that Caleb Love is going to play against his former team when it matters, win or go home. I just feel like it's written in the air. But you never know, man. Clemson could come in and be a giant slayer and move forward, show Caleb Love why he shouldn't have left the ACC and why we're superior. So who knows, man? But off the top of my head, I am taking Arizona over Clemson.
Yep. Next matchup is UNC playing Alabama. This will be a very fun game.
Yes, this will be a fun game.
2 teams that like to play at a high pace. They like to shoot a lot of threes. They've got, ball dominant guards. I like Carolina in this game, but it wouldn't surprise me if Alabama was able to pull it off. This is usually the point where these Alabama teams kind of tail off because they shoot so many threes. Like, they're bound to have a stinker at some point. This is usually when it happens under Nate Oates. But a team that was talked about like one of the worst defensive teams in the nation has really turned it on in the past couple weeks in Alabama. If you watch the first 2 rounds, they really got after it. So
Yeah, they did.
I could see Alabama pulling it off, but they've got to play their best game. I think at the end of the day, Armando Bacot is such a nightmare matchup for them, and I don't think they have a guy that can guard RJ Davis. And
Yeah.
I think that'll be the story of this game.
You know, Cam, I'm gonna be like that old man on TikTok that's cross-eyed that says "Roll Tide" again during this game. You know, I'm gonna be pulling for the Tide, but I think Carolina's playing some of the best basketball team in the NCAA, or some of the best basketball in the NCAA right now. Not sure if you watched their Michigan State game, Cam, but Carolina was down, or they were tied. I think they were down or up like 6 at halftime. They end up winning that game by over 21 points. So this team's clicking. This team is doing something right. I do have Carolina moving forward and playing Arizona in the Elite Eight.
I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide. No, I do think Carolina wins. The next matchup, this should be a quick one. San Diego State playing UConn. I don't think anybody can touch UConn in this tournament right now. I'm going UConn by a substantial amount. Whatever the spread is, I would probably bet.
Yeah, and whoever San Diego State just played too, they almost got beat. I can't remember who they played. Who they played around 32? Do you remember?
I'll have to look it up.
They were this close to losing the game.
Basketball games.
Yeah, they shouldn't have won, but Fade Wade pick of the week, UConn covering. Bet the damn mortgage on it.
Oh,
all right, Cam. Let's move forward to this.
On it.
This is an interesting matchup, Cam. These are two extremely hot teams. Big 10 versus Big 12. Iowa State, Illinois. Cam. Both of these are conference winners. Both of these, a lot of people have moving very far in their brackets. Give me your prediction. Who wins? Why?
Yeah, man. These are two of the hottest teams in the tournament right now. Two teams that are, got a lot of athletic freaks. Two teams that play tough defense. I don't necessarily like one player on Illinois. Talking about Terrence Shannon. Click Google shirts if you want to figure out why. But
what do you do?
Quick Google search and you'll see what happened. I think Illinois is the better basketball team, even though I don't like them, so I will be picking them to win. But yeah, I like this Iowa State team. I love their coach, but I do think Illinois gets past them here to go to the Elite Eight.
Cam, I like it. I disagree with you, Cam. I disagree with you. This Iowa State team, they're taking a minute. It's like this Iowa State team is eating ice cream, Cam. They're not, or eating a milkshake or drinking a milkshake. Sometimes you get a milkshake and it's thick and you can't drink it as fast.
You're speaking my language, man.
So this team has started a little slow, Cam, but guess what? That milkshake is starting to melt a little bit. It's starting to soften up. I look at this soft team, Illinois, and I look at this Iowa State team. One team is the milkshake and one team's the straw. Iowa State's the straw. Give me Iowa State winning. Yeah.
Ward, I do have a question. If Illinois is the milkshake, Iowa State's the straw, who's sucking?
The NCAA. That's funny, man.
That was a bad joke. I know almost everybody just rolled their eyes at me, but he set me up. I had to take it. Next game, we've got Gonzaga versus Purdue. A lot of people didn't have Purdue making it this far.
No.
People didn't have Gonzaga making it this far. You know what, Ward? Mark Few, I think this was his 6th straight Sweet 16 or something like that. Give me Gonzaga. I think that Mark Few makes a run here to remind everybody who he is and who this Gonzaga program is. I think they're going to be able to beat the Boilermakers.
Dude, Cam, I love it. I love it. Unfortunately, I think Gonzaga, so when I say there's 3 hot teams in college basketball right now in this tournament, UNC Tar Heels are 1. UNC Tar Heels are 1, Illinois 2, and Purdue is 3.
I thought you said Iowa State.
I'm sorry. I'm messing this up. And anyway, long story short, Cam, Gonzaga is one. I was messing up talking. Gonzaga is one of the hottest teams in college basketball right now. So is Purdue. I think Gonzaga played anybody else in the Sweet 16 outside of UConn or maybe Carolina. I would have them winning because they're playing Purdue. Purdue has beat both their opponents in the round of 64 and the round of 32 by over double-digit points. So because of that, I am riding with the 6'5" Asian guy in Purdue. Cam, I don't know. I do think this is gonna be a very good game, but I am riding with Purdue.
6'5" Asian guy.
7'5" Asian guy.
Okay, are we talking Zach Edey?
Yes.
Okay.
He's Asian, right? He looks Asian.
I don't know. I don't like to speculate, but he is 7'5". I do know that.
He is, and he's going to have a problem with DJ Burns if they play.
Tennessee and Creighton matchup: Dalton Connect versus Bailey Shireman for the coldest white boy in the tournament. I've got Tennessee winning this basketball game. I had them going out early in a lot of brackets. I had them going to the Final Four, so don't ask me about the Tennessee Volunteers. I think with my heart more than my brain when it comes to them. Just beat Texas. Creighton got out of a double overtime game against Oregon, which might have been the most boring double overtime game of all time, by the way. I think Tennessee wins here. I think they get on the right path. This might be the first Final Four in Tennessee basketball history, Ward, by the way. Yeah. Give me Tennessee beating Creighton in a barn burner of a lot of threes made by each team.
Dude, Cam, I love you, brother. This is another one where I'm disagreeing with you, my friend.
I hope you're right, by the way. I don't want Tennessee to win a basketball game.
Yeah.
Ever.
Where we talked that Tennessee had lost 4 out of their last 5 coming into the tournament. Don't get me wrong. They're turning it on at the right time in the tournament. But I think this Creighton team, this team is sneaky. Creighton is sneaky every year in the tournament. And I think they are going to come out, shock a lot of people. I think Creighton beats Tennessee and shows how much of an embarrassment the SEC had in basketball this year, not having one team in the Elite 8. But Cam, just going off the SEC history right now in this tournament, give me Creighton moving forward. And also, I don't know why I just thought of this. We didn't go over our upsets from last week. The teams we had, I know no team have moved too forward, but
yeah, I don't think any of mine even made it out of the first round.
JMU made it. Well, I guess JMU and State were my only upsets I had. But it's just crazy to think about, every year there's like a 13, 14, 15 seed that makes it to the Elite 8 or the final or the Sweet 16. This year there's not. State's the lowest team at 11, which is crazy to think about. But
yeah, very chalk this year. We did see 2 SEC teams get upset. Auburn lost to Yale and Kentucky lost to Oakland, which we talked about. Just real quick, update. Ward's got 4 of his teams of his Purdue, Houston, Iowa State, NC State left. One of mine got knocked out pretty early, the Kentucky Wildcats. So I've got UConn, Carolina, and Illinois left. One thing before we move on, though, Ward, that I want to talk about SEC-wise. We talked last week that, it was maybe the best conference in basketball, and it's obviously not. And I feel like I get tricked into this every year because I watch so much SEC basketball. But if you watch, what I've come to figure out about this league is we've just got a bunch of 24 and 25-year-olds that just beat the absolute crap out of each other and don't play actual real defense. Mm-hmm. And then they get to March and they get in foul trouble and wonder why. It's because they don't play actual defense in the SEC. It's just a bunch of athletes playing football, basically. So we need to get that cleaned up because we regularly get embarrassed in this tournament because we don't know how to play actual defense because it's not officiated correctly. That's just my quick take on the SEC. Quick take on the ACC. Louisville just drags that league down. I've come to find out. Like, you're honestly better losing to a team than beating Louisville. I didn't realize how, obviously everybody knows how bad Louisville was, but I didn't realize how much it affected the net ratings until I started looking into it. Louisville has single-handedly been the demise of the ACC. The top 4 teams every year are still incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Louisville sucks. State almost lost to them, though. State tried to lose to them in the tournament, but
by the way, lost out on Dusty May. Dusty May was supposed to go to Louisville, apparently. Ends up going to Michigan for like $3 million a year. Wow. Looks like the next coach of the Louisville Cardinals, as of today, Ward, is not Rick Pitino, but Richard Pitino, his son.
Interesting.
Looks like he's coming from New Mexico State to take the Louisville job.
Interesting. Who took the Michigan job?
Dusty May.
He did take it. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, kind of a cool storyline, I guess. Rick's son taking over the Cards.
Yeah.
But Ward, we got a few stories to go over, and then we'll kind of get out of here. Cam,
I'm so sorry you froze on me. I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi or your Wi-Fi. We're there for about 10 seconds. You just went blank.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear, my friend.
Have you seen this Otani news?
I heard about it today. I heard about it a little bit of. I really wanted to cover this on the pod. I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. His interpreter, so he doesn't speak very good English. His interpreter was stealing his money and betting on games, correct?
That's the story as of right now.
Interesting. Okay.
The story, so it first came out that his interpreter was $4.5 million in gambling debt.
Wow.
The story then turned out to he stole $4.5 million from Otani and is to Otani. I don't think anybody in baseball believes that, though. I think it's very people believe that Otani has been gambling and is putting it on his interpreter as the fall guy.
Wow.
Because
I heard a little speculation about that. I didn't clarify anything. Very interesting, Cam. Very interesting.
But there's no facts out right now. So we're just making, we're two idiots just making,
making claims.
Drawing our own lines to the end of the story. Yeah. But I mean, if it does ever come to fruition that Otani was betting on baseball, our Babe Ruth is not making it to the Hall, right?
Yep.
You can't not let Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame and then let Otani in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. If he this reminds me of a longest yard. Something a little bit about the longest yard. I feel like something may come out of it. I'm not sure. The thing is, Cam, is I feel like they have somebody pleading guilty right now. I don't think they're going to dig in anymore. That makes sense. Otani is the face of the Major League Baseball. I don't think, the farther you dig, the more crap you possibly will find. So I think they're just going to stop looking at it, if that makes sense.
Yep, just take the fall guy and stop looking at it.
Yes, I think there's a good chance that happens.
A lot of similarities between Otani and Michael Jordan, though, if you think about it. One more betting scandal in sports, Ward. I don't know if you've seen this one. There's a player in the NBA named Jonte Porter. He's Michael Porter Jr.'s brother.
Interesting. Okay.
He plays for the Raptors, and he's caught up in his own betting scandal, Ward. So there was a day a few months ago, or maybe a couple weeks ago, where Jonte Porter, his lines were set. I think it was 7.5 points, and then he had a 0.5 3-pointer made prop bet. Which, first of all, if you're betting on Jonte Porter prop bets, you're sicko. There's a hotline for that.
Eric, sorry.
But comes out that he had aggravated his eye a couple of days before the game. He plays for 3 minutes, which makes any bets on Jonte Porter live. And then after 3 minutes, he pulls himself out of the game because he re-aggravated his eye. But comes out that as DraftKings does their day-end report or whatever, that the largest payout in the NBA that day was Jonte Porter under 0.5 3-pointers made and under 7.5 points. So Jonte Porter, it's now being said that he was point shaving that game.
Interesting.
Which is very obvious. The next game, by the way, he came out and scored 13 points.
Yeah.
So Jonte Porter's caught up in this scheme, or what is seen to be a scheme, of point shaving for his own player props.
Interesting. I have not heard this at all, Cam. I've never even heard of Jonte Porter, but very interesting. I would be curious to dig more into that and see what I'd like to hear what Stephen A. Smith has to say about this. This is very interesting.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun story, and I mean, people, let's call a spade here. I know sports betting's always been around, but now that it's becoming so legalized, this is something that we're going to have to deal with.
Because, oh yeah.
Especially from these low-level players who maybe don't make as much money. It's so easy to say, hey, man, go bet this amount of money on my under, and I'll just pull myself out of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Especially college kids. College sports, there's a world where it gets real ugly for college sports. But Ward, the NFL today did drop, or yesterday, I guess, banned the hip drop tackle. I don't know if you've seen this.
Yeah, I saw it.
As a former linebacker, I'd like you to talk about this more so than me because I was never really in this situation. But before you do, I do just want to say, like, the NFL continues to ruin the game I love. Like,
Yeah,
this is
and
a physical football game.
absolutely. And I think, my question is, after reading into this a little bit, I'm just curious on when they're going to expect defenders to start pulling flags. Like, when are we just going to go to a flag setting? And this is a contact sport. And, you think about it from a linebacker's point of view, you're having grown men that are 6'3", 6'4", 230 to 250 pounds running the ball at you. How are you just supposed to expect them? Are you expected just to let them run by you? Or if you're chasing them down from behind, you expected just to jump on their back and just hold on for dear life? No, I mean, it's contact sport, man. It's everybody, there's a risk every play, every game, every practice that you take by playing the sport. It separates the men from the men and the boys from the boys. It separates the men from the boys. I'm sorry, I messed that one up. But I don't know, man. I don't agree with it at all. I just think, when are we going to start putting flags on these guys and letting them pull flags?
Yeah, I mean, when are we going to start playing patty cake?
Yeah.
Every football player in the existence of history knows what they signed up for.
Yeah.
It is the most physical sport outside of combat sports that there is.
Yeah.
And
yes, rugby players. Football is more physical than rugby. Let's get that straight.
I'm not going to die on that hill today. But like with this rule being implemented, in 5 years, there's just going to be another way that people get hurt that we're going to take away. And honestly, let's call a spade a spade. This all started when the player safety movement happened with concussions.
Yeah.
Obviously, brain injuries are no joke. I'm sure we both had our fair share, but that made it to where you had to take guys' lower extremities out to get a tackle, which led to more career-ending injuries. So water always finds its level. When you play a physical sport like this, people are going to get hurt. And when you get hurt the most, or when the most injuries happen, is when you're playing to try to not get injured.
Yep.
So now these NFL players are going to have to play to try to not get injured, which will lead to probably more neck injuries for linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, more busted plays where you get DBs on running backs as opposed to linebackers on running backs. So, just continuing to water down and ruin the game that I love.
Oh yeah, dude. Couldn't agree with you more. And I don't know, man. Jumping straight into this. I don't know if you saw today, the NFL owners are having their league-wide meetings today. And now, so there's a whole new kickoff. Cam, I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you've ever seen the XFL kickoff before. They line up 10 yards from each other. I think I want to say the defense lines up, or the kickoff team lines up on like the 50 or the 45 towards the opposite goal line. And then the return team lines up 10 yards from them. And then they kick it off. As soon as the guy catches it, everybody can move. It's not, I mean, dude, kickoffs have been going on for 100 years. And now, I mean, come on, man. I don't agree with it at all. I see where they're coming from, but it's just, I mean, hell, there's never kickoffs anymore anyway, Cam. Nobody kicks the ball off or they kick it off, but everyone is touchback. I mean, what percent of kickoffs are touchbacks? So my question is college going to follow them? Is college going to start this? Because return guys, people that play special teams, are trying to make their way to the top. There's one way to make their way to the top, by making plays on special teams. This is how you do it on kickoff, how you make plays on special teams, not when it's colliding like this, not like this. I mean, I don't know. This is the way I think of it. I don't agree with it at all, but I don't make millions of dollars to make these decisions.
Yeah, none of us do. But I mean, as a consumer, like I said, I hold the same opinion here. They're just watering down the game. Mm-hmm. Like, the game had a specific set of rules. Like, you don't see the NBA, or the MLB changing major rules. They may tweak stuff to make the game go faster, to make it more fun or whatever. They don't make, these huge decisions in what? I mean, I hadn't heard about this being a possible decision until yesterday.
I haven't either. And then this also takes the probability away of no surprise onside kicks. So you got to think about how many games have been won. First thing I think of, do you remember when the Saints beat the Colts in the Super Bowl? for the first time ever, for their first Super Bowl ever. You know how they won that Super Bowl, Cam? Is they got the ball back at halftime, they went down and scored. You know, that at the end of the day, that gave them the edge. You got to think about how many onside kicks have won football games and lost football games. So,
and another rule that I still think of is like when we push the PAT back.
Yeah.
So now people know when you're going for two.
No,
Now people are going to know when you go for onside kicks.
Yep.
It just takes away the randomness of football, and it takes away the advantages of, you know, if you have a great special teams coordinator, a great kicker, or, you know, an athlete on special teams like Slater from New England for so many years, you're devaluing these guys.
Dude, you got to think about it. There's a rival podcast of ours called Pat McAfee. How do you think this guy got famous? He had a few of those little BS onside kicks.
You know, and, you know, we have Hall of Famers. Devin Hester is a Hall of Famer, and he's a special teams guy. You're taking these – Josh Cribbs was an all-pro special teams guy.
Brandon Banks, the reason I like the Redskins, special teams guy.
Yeah, and you're just devaluing these guys and a way to get on a roster. So just make football the way it's supposed to be played, man. It's supposed to be two guys knocking heads. It's supposed to be physical. These guys know what they signed up for. They signed up to batter their bodies for a gazillion dollars. I did it for free for, 15 years?
Me too. So, I mean, and the side effects are hitting me now, buddy.
Yeah, if you listen to this podcast for long enough, you can tell the side effects.
Yeah, you can tell, man. I fumble over my words just a tad bit. And my hair sticks up sometimes too. See?
Ward, last thing, and we'll get out of here. News is starting to circulate, man, that your Washington Commanders Redskins football team are looking to take J.J. McCarthy at number 2 overall, Ward. Do you think this is smoke and mirrors, or do you think that this is a legit report?
Cam, you know how I feel about this kind of stuff, man. I just feel like people are throwing stuff around. I look at this like the Will Levis situation last year. Do you remember when Will Levis jumped overnight from like a minus or plus 1,500 to like a plus 300 to be the number 1 overall pick or something like that?
Over a Reddit post, by the way.
Over a Reddit post, man. I'll believe this stuff when I see it. Our front office is going to everybody's pro day. They're taking all these quarterbacks out to lunch, out to dinner. They're getting to know these quarterbacks. I think it came out that we took J.J. McCarthy out to dinner or something like that. And then all of a sudden we're going to draft him, you know. But I would rather have J.J. McCarthy than Drake May. Put that on record. But I mean, hey, J.J. McCarthy's a winner at the end of the day, man. At the end of the day, he's a winner, and our franchise needs a winner. So I trust our front office. Whatever decision our front office makes, I trust them and all they do. So I'm in full basketball mode right now. We'll see. They're just thinking they got to have shit to talk about, Cam. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, we've got a month till draft time. These storylines are going to come out. One question I've gotten this asked to me a few times. Ward, if Drake May wore a different logo on his helmet, would you want him?
No, he's not a winner. He doesn't win games. Okay. Look at his record against the reason I don't like Drake May is look at his record against teams with other teams with winning records or top 25 teams. Against the top 25, he's won 2 games at Carolina. And
I knew that was the answer. I just wanted.
Oh yeah, no. If he had another logo on his helmet, would I be more receptive to him? Maybe. If it was perfect, say he was coming from QBU. Cam, what's QBU in college football? Oklahoma, I guess you could say right now.
Yeah, I guess.
Arguably, yeah, I guess Oklahoma, Alabama doesn't really have anybody.
Maybe Ohio State, even though they've been almost undraftable.
Yeah, I mean, we're just not getting into the QBU discussion, but say we throw Oklahoma in there, okay? If he was coming from Oklahoma, you look at the history of Oklahoma quarterbacks, maybe I still wouldn't be happy about it, but maybe I'd be more receptive about it. You know, he's coming from Carolina. I want any of our listeners, please tell me one good Carolina quarterback since we've been alive. And you can't say Sam Howell for 10 games. Yeah, he did go to a Pro Bowl off a popularity contest. What's his overall record, Cam?
I don't know, but he also won the Nickelodeon MVP as well for one game.
Yeah, and he also got benched for Mason Rudolph. What's
Mitch Trubisky? Let's call spade a spade. Mitch Trubisky might be the worst quarterback to ever start a game.
Yeah, dude. He went number 2 overall or number 3 overall. Nice job, Chicago. I hope Chicago messes around and takes Drake May and we get Caleb Williams. I'd be happy then. Based on their history of draft picks, we'll see.
Can we open a can of worms here? Or do we need to get out of here? Because I have a question for that now too.
Well, let's hear it.
Well, we just said Oklahoma was QBU. Lincoln Riley is the QB guru. He had Baker Mayfield. He had Kyler Murray. He had Jalen Hurts. All went to college football playoffs, by the way. 2 of them won Heisman.
Did you say Baker Mayfield? Yeah, you did say Baker Mayfield. Sorry.
Caleb Williams has won a Heisman, but he played a year in Oklahoma and 2 at Southern Cal. Never won a conference championship award. Does that bother you when you talk about a guy being a winner?
No.
Okay.
Caleb Williams has Caleb Williams right now. He's arguably the best quarterback coming out of college that we've seen in the last, let's say, 5 years. Caleb, like we talk about this all the time, Caleb Williams, if he was in the draft last year, he would have gone number 1 overall over Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. If he was in the draft 2 years ago after his freshman year, he would have gone number 1 overall over your boy that y'all just traded the Eagles.
Pickett.
You know who I'm talking about. But yeah, Kenny Pickett, Malik Richardson, and Bo Corral was in that draft. Yeah. You know who
that may be the worst.
Matt Corral.
That may be the worst.
That's the worst quarterback draft in the history of quarterback drafts. But everybody's hyping up this quarterback draft right now, like, oh, this is the greatest quarterback draft. No, it's not. This comes nowhere close. Greatest quarterback draft that I can think of off the top of my head was the
it's 2003.
Well, I don't remember 2003. I'm trying to think like off in the last few years. I would say maybe the Tua, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert. I think that's year Joe Burrow got drafted too. Is it 2019?
Yeah, I don't know if they were all the same year. I know they were in that same realm. But
I know Tua, Justin Herbert were drafted the same, and Tua, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts were all drafted in the same year.
Okay. Big Ben, Eli, and Phillip Rivers.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. For sure.
It's a shame we waited this long to talk about this because this could probably be like something that got the 2 people that are listening to the podcast right now are probably having a good time.
Justin, what's up, man?
But Ward, I believe that's it. Unless you have something.
Hey, else. I got a question for you, Cam. I'm going to. Okay. I haven't been to a barber shop. I always go to Sports Clips. I'm going to a barber shop, and I haven't been to the barber shop and couldn't tell you how long it's been. But do they cut your beard too, or they just do your hair?
I don't let them do my beard because I like to do my beard. Do
they offer to do your beard?
Yeah, they'll do your beard for sure.
I just want them to line it up for me.
Yeah, it'll cost more, but yeah, they'll do it.
What about what type of haircut do you use? Because I always get a 2 on the sides with scissors on top. What are you supposed to say? Like a fade?
Yeah, you can say a fade or a taper. Taper is just your sideburns in the back of your neck. A fade is like the whole side.
Oh, I want the whole side of fade.
Yeah, so I'd get like a low drop.
Do they do scissors on top?
Yeah.
They do scissors? Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a barbershop, so I'm just not sure. When I used to go to the barbershop, we had one up the road. It was $10, and dad was telling me to give me a 1 all the way, buzz cut.
You kicking sports clips, man? You kicking great clips to the side?
They screwed me up last time, so I need I'm gonna go try the barbershop, and it's like 20 minutes from my new house, so I want to find something local.
Yeah, barbershop's the way to go for sure.
Yeah.
Just make sure you go to the same guy. So, like, if you get a good haircut, just keep going to that guy.
Okay.
Or lady.
Or lady. Do ladies work at barbershops?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. But, Ward, I don't know if we're.
Yeah.
This is hilarious.
If you've made it this far, Cam owes you a beer.
But this was episode 48 of the Fat Katz Podcast. Find us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Find us on Instagram and TikTok at Fat Katz Pod. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you thought. If we forgot anything, if we should have added anything, let us know. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Ward, pleasure as always, my friend.
Hey, thank you for all the support, ladies and gentlemen. And hey, I've been wanting to say this. Wherever you find your podcast, Cam, look for ladies and gentlemen, wherever y'all listen to or find your podcast, we're there. So just look up the Fat Katz.
Everywhere.
KATZ.
Everywhere, except for Amazon Prime. But we're not opening that can of worms.
Speaking of that, Cam, you need to go watch that Conor McGregor movie. It's really good. I watched it.
Roadhouse?
Roadhouse is really good.
We'll go check it out.
I didn't think he'd be a good actor. He's actually really good, dude.
Well, he's probably not acting. That's probably just him.
It was actually one of the better movies I've seen recently.
Okay.
It's a good movie, dude. Go check it out. He's just It's Conor McGregor, man. He's just, he's just Conor McGregor in the whole movie, and you can tell he's absolutely juiced to the gills in it. But he walks around like this. But go watch it, Cam. Tell me what you think.
I will.
Cool.
Appreciate you guys. See you guys next week for episode 49.
Peace.